Hey guys, this is Miss Binion with WW2 for World War II. Today we're going to finish talking about the impact of the war on American minorities. Awesome. Okay, so first we're going to start with the Japanese-American internment. At this time, there was a lot of measures that America was taking to protect Americans from attack, like air raids or blackouts. But the federal government, one way they did it was the federal government instituted this program to maintain national security. And this is actually going to cause more damage, obviously, than protection. So they removed more than 110,000 Issei, which is the Japanese nationals, and Nisei, Japanese Americans, from the West Coast. They moved them, you can see here, into cities. There's lunch bell. These are relocation camps where they take them and move them from the West Coast. They're afraid that they're going to be planning, just because they have Japanese ancestry, that they're going to go against America and plan some type of attack. And a lot of them were worried that they did help in the initial Pearl Harbor attack. There's a lot of prejudice against Japanese Americans, and that's been going on a long time. If you remember all the way back to when we talked about new immigrants versus old immigrants, and a lot of people accused the Nisei of helping plan Pearl Harbor. However, of course, as usual, there's no evidence or sabotage ever found on any of this. So a lot of Japanese Americans had these signs in their businesses that say, "I am an American." They tried to show their patriotism, but a lot of them just accepted it because they were patriotic to their country, so they just accepted it and went, they hoped that if they accepted it, that it would prove their loyalty to the United States. And a lot of them had to sell their homes and businesses, like this one says. They had to sell these things, and they had time to get all their stuff together, and they had to go to these internment camps. In an internment camp, these were just work camps. And so they were very, very poor conditions. There's not really any plumbing. They have a very small food budget. Basically, it was like 45 cents a day. They had cots. They didn't have beds. Their toilets had no partitions. And then sometimes the weather would drop down to below zero, and they wouldn't even, they didn't have blankets. There was no heat. So, and a lot of them didn't include winter clothing. Okay, here's one of the camps. It's located in California, and this is the best known relocation camp. You can see it's snowing here. It had 12,000 internees, so the people that were there. It was really hot in the summer and really cold in the winter. And a lot of them worked at these camps. This is a court case. Korematsu refused to obey the relocation order. This is a gentleman. He's a Japanese American. He refused to relocate. He was convicted in federal court and sentenced to 5 years probation. And he tried to appeal it, saying this is against constitutional rights. But the Supreme Court ruled that since this was a time of war, that the president was allowed to put people in camps. And interestingly enough, a lot of Japanese Americans fought in World War II. And while they're fighting in World War II, a lot of their family members were being interned in the United States. So clearly this is not awesome. This is not a good thing that this is happening. It's actually one of the biggest things that Americans, they don't like to talk about it because it's a blight in our history. We talk about camps, concentration camps, and here we were interning people over here. Now we weren't killing them. We weren't, doing some of the terrible things like gas chambers and stuff, but we were taking an ethnic population and we were containing them. So this is a combat team. They're the most decorated combat unit. That means that they have the most medals, and they fought in Italy and France, and they were a big part of helping us in World War II. Okay. So later on in 1988, the government formally apologized for Japanese internment and gave $20,000 to each surviving internee. Other groups that were interned, German Americans, Italian Americans, and they had camps as well. All right, other people, African Americans in the war, other minorities that suffered during the war. Now, they helped fight overseas, but they also fought a lot of racism at home. They had a hard time finding employment at the defense plants. There's race riots, and they were really looking for equality in the workplace and the military. So the African Americans called this the Double V campaign. Basically, they're going to fight overseas for their country, and that's going to bring them victory at home. So victory over our enemies at home and victory over our enemies at battlefields abroad. So this was a battle that they were fighting to stop racism in their own country and then stop their enemies overseas. This is one of the famous African Americans who served in the Navy. He received the Navy Cross. He was killed in the invasion of the Gilbert Islands, and he was one of the heroes of that. He reported to his battle station. He was a cook. He found it destroyed by a torpedo, so he started helping carry wounded soldiers to aid stations. And so he took all of these people to safety. He refused medical treatment, insisted on continuing his command, and he fled during the attack. Some other famous African Americans are the All Black Combat Unit, the Tuskegee Airmen, who were formed in Alabama, and they escorted bombers over Central Europe. They paid attention, and they were there. They did not try to shoot down the Nazi planes. They were there to escort the planes, and they were very, very highly successful. And then other minorities that helped with the war but that were discriminated against at home were the Navajo Code Talkers, which we'll learn more about in the projects. They were used to transmit messages in the Pacific Theater. That means where we fought in the Pacific against the Japanese. They used their own Navajo language to send codes back and forth, and the code was never broken. They were also being discriminated against back home, and so it's interesting that a lot of these minorities gave their all to the war effort, but at home they're still not being treated as equals. Alright, and this is video 5. We'll finish next time.